Are you getting ready to put your home up for sale? Do you want to sell it on the first day for top dollar? Well, stay tuned to this episode because I'm going to tell you how I did just that. With Designed the Nines. If we are just meeting for the first time, hello and welcome. I'm so glad you could join me, and really I am so grateful for all of those who join me each week for my weekly tutorials. If you like learning about home decor, DIY, and increasing the value of your homes and crafts and really all things home related, consider subscribing to my channel below and turning the notifications on because I bring weekly tutorials on all these topics, and I would love it if you join me. It just makes everything so much better. On this week's episode, with the big home selling season right at our front door, I wanted to share a personal experience of mine when we sold our home for $30,000 more than any other unit had sold before, and on the first day of showing. But before I get into the nitty-gritty details of how we did that, I wanted to give a little bit of background about myself. So I've been involved in real estate in some form or another since 2001, so almost 2 decades, and I've been licensed in 3 different states, and I have a background in home staging and interior design. But today I wanted to share a personal experience of selling our home, which is something that we don't usually do, honestly. My husband and I are big advocates of holding on to our real estate, but in this case we knew that it was not a property that we wanted to keep, and so we ended up selling a townhome we owned on the first day of showing for full asking price for $30,000 more than any other unit had previously sold. Needless to say, our neighbors were happy to see us go. I don't know why. Maybe it just had to do something with the fact that we increased the equity of all of their homes across the board. And I guess you might be wondering, how did we do it? So let's dive in, I'll tell you. You're going to want to make sure to stay tuned to the very end because I'm going to tell you where to go to see more pictures of the before and afters of this home, as well as how to get my free ebook called 21 Ways to Add Value to Your Home Now. And I will tell you how to get that at the end of this video, but you're going to want to stay tuned for all of the tips of how we went about doing this. Tip number 1. Start with the ugliest house in the best neighborhood. Now, if you already own a home, there's nothing you can really do about that now, but when you go home shopping in the future, it's always a good idea to find the ugliest house in the best neighborhood that you can possibly stomach, you know, because there's some people who aren't cut out for DIY and projects and all of that, and that's what we did in this case. So people thought we were straight up crazy. We had lost our marbles when we bought this townhouse, and honestly, we probably questioned our own sanity a couple times. And I'm being harsh on it, it really wasn't quite that bad, but it was in a really great location. It was close to a lot of things, and it had a lot of really good things going on it. It was a townhouse. We had just purchased a house a year before, and we had kept that, so we needed to kind of buy something that we could afford quickly, and that's, you know, the price range that we were in at the time. Really cute on the outside. We walked in and it was just filled with smoke. Somebody had smoked in it for years and years and years, and so it was like into the drywall. It was really, really strong. So that was strike number 1. Strike number 2 is it was like so 1980s, like the 1980s called. They wanted their decor back and it had to go, but it was just, it had like gray appliances, which I had never really seen before, but it had all gray appliances. It had like blue countertops, and they had tried to do some updating, but it was still just very much 1980s. But what it did have for us is it had enough bedrooms and enough space for our family, and location. Despite how ugly it was in a great neighborhood, so we bought the ugliest house in the best neighborhood, and that's what you need to do too. Tip number 2, do as much of the renovations and work as you possibly can. Hire out as little as you can. That sweat equity is going to pay dividends on the back end. Having said that, there are times when you need to call in the professionals, and it makes more sense to call in the professionals. For example, if there's electrical issues, then you definitely want to call in the professionals for that. I switched out all the outlets in that property from like the creamy yellowy color from the 1980s to the white. That was an easy electrical thing that I felt comfortable doing. We did our homework. So you need to kind of just pick and choose what you can. Painting is definitely something you should do on your own. If you feel comfortable with a sod, then adding trim is another thing to do. Find a good handyman. A lot of times they have a lot of skills and they will do it at a cheaper rate than a professional. But big things like plumbing and electrical, it's usually best to call in somebody who's licensed and approved for that type of renovations. Tip number 3, know your buyer when choosing your finishes. So if you live in a very high-end neighborhood, you're going to want to choose finishes that are appropriate for that high-end neighborhood. If you're in a starter home neighborhood, you want to choose finishes according to that. You don't want to go crazy. You need to find deals, do your homework, get the best price you possibly can on finishes that are appropriate for that neighborhood. So for example, in our townhouse, you know, everything was dated in all of those units. Nobody had done any kind of renovations really to speak of. If they did, it was minimal things here and there. So our renovated unit was like a standout. But we kept in mind the buyers, and I think the average age of the resident in there was in the mid-70s. So we were kind of the young bucks in there. So I kept that in mind, as well as the price point. So in the kitchen, for example, and in the baths, I did Formica, but I did a nice Formica in a Carrara marble look, but it was not actually the cost of doing Carrara marble. But to dress that up, I did not do a backsplash on the Formica countertop. I instead did like a white subway tile backsplash to dress up our Formica countertops, and it worked out perfectly. So, and then we did we did a combination of carpet as well as a laminate wood flooring, and so we kept that in mind. But if you're in a really high-end neighborhood, again, you want like chef's appliances, nice quartz countertops, or marble or granite or something, you know, as nice stone surface. But you want to seek out the best price you can, and again, do the work yourself if you're capable of doing that. Tip number 4, it's all in the details. This one's gonna blow your mind. It did mine. We got an appraisal a couple of months before we ended up putting our home up for sale for $32,500 less than we actually sold it for. Now, a lot of it had to do with comps, but a lot of it had to do with one element. I done a lot of the renovations over the couple years that we lived there, and it was looking really, really good at the time that we had it appraised. But what I ended up doing is I spent a couple of $100s on wood and did a lot of additional trim. I added batten board throughout the main space. I finished up a lot of those unfinished projects that you mean to get to, you're gonna get to them, but you kind of put them off. So it was literally down to the detail. Every project was finished. I'm telling you, those little details made all the difference in my opinion. I am convinced that doing that trim work and that detail work and that finish work is what really pushed our unit over the edge. Tip number 5, do not ignore the decor. You need to get your house designed to the nines. And you know what, I hear all the time from appraisers, realtors, brokers, everyone, that a beautifully designed home does not equal more money on the back end at sale. I'm gonna push against that, and I say I disagree, because if you really think about it, if you have 2 homes that are identical square footage, side by side, everything for all intents and purposes are the same, and one is designed beautifully and has been well thought out and the decor is lovely, and then the other one's just kind of whatever, hodgepodge, whatever. The one that is beautifully designed will sell faster, which equals more money, and it's gonna sell for more money. It will, it just will. I think if brokers and realtors and appraisers were all honest with themselves, they would agree with that. There's more perceived value, and that equals more real money. Just does. Tip number 6, Clean, clean, and clean some more. People don't like other people's dirt. It's just as old as the hills. And so, and people also want like a new house, really. That's what, if they could afford a brand new house or one that feels new, that's what they're gonna want. So cleanliness equals dollars. Clean, 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 clean. You want your house so clean that you could like literally eat off the floor and feel fine about it. That's how clean it is. And if you need to take the extra bit of time to do that, to get it on the market, if you need to call in the professionals and pay $300 to have your house cleaned from top to bottom, do that, because it needs to be so clean, so clean, so clean. That will help you sell it faster and for more money. Okay, so my last tip number 7, is present a fantastic package to the real estate market. So you've done all this work, picking out the right finishes, doing the DIY, painting it, getting it clean, getting it decorated nice, doing everything you can to present this wonderful package to the market. Now what? The first thing you're gonna wanna do is hire a really good agent that knows their stuff. You are gonna want to price it right, okay? So if you don't price it right from the start, it's gonna cost you big dollars on the back end. And it happens all the time. I know you're probably going, but Natalie, you listed your house $30,000 more than units had been selling for before. So why are you giving me a lecture on listing it right from the start? My pricing strategy was not without merit. There were other townhomes in locations literally a mile away that were selling for much higher. Plus, I knew the amount of renovations that we had done had warranted an increase in value. And so there was a lot of elements that came into play in pricing it how I did. If you price it too high, it's gonna cost you big time on the back end, because people are gonna be like, why is that house not selling? Well, it's overpriced. And then it's gonna sit on the market and sit on the market, and the price will go down, 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 down until you pay on the back end. So get an agent who can help you price it right from the start. Make sure you have fantastic photography, video tours, everything for an online buyer. Present this beautiful package wonderfully the first time to the market. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. So that first impression, that first presentation to the market has to have all its ducks in a row. All the ducks in a row, first time it's presented to the market. Otherwise, it just tacks on days and days and days, and that costs you money. I hope you learned something today. If I missed something or have any questions, put them in the comment section below. I also have contact info in the description. I sell real estate in the Central Florida area, and I also have contacts all across the country. If you're looking to sell elsewhere, I can help you with that as well. In the meantime, let's help increase the value of your home. So you're gonna definitely wanna check out my ebook. It has a whole bunch of ideas of how to add value to your home, and you can get that on my website. I'll put the link above and as well as in the description. Go improve the value and equity in your home. I do it even knowing that we are planning on holding on to our real estate properties. Always a reason to be continually improving your property. There's ways to do it cost effective. If you liked what we saw today, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button below. And if you want to see more of it, you definitely want to hit the subscribe button and turn the notifications on, because I bring you weekly tutorials with all things to do with the home. We're doing a lot of DIY, we're doing a lot of interior decorating, and if you want to learn some of these skills that I've talked about doing and using to improve the value of your home, you're going to want to continue to watch this channel, because I'm going to help you learn those skills to help increase the equity in your home and line your pocketbooks. So thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you again next week. And I've got some fun stuff coming, including a challenge that you're going to want to stay tuned for in a couple of weeks. And of course, more designer dupes. So stay tuned. Come back, join me. I just enjoy having you with me each week. So I hope you continue to do so. So stay tuned for my next episode. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.